Today we have the pleasure of having Blaine Bertsch with us today. How are you doing, Blaine?
Terrific. How are you doing?
I am good. Can't complain. It's a new week, so a lot of great things ahead.
Yeah. Well, where are you located? Are you looking out at a bunch of snow?
No, a lot of people are that I've talked to so far, but no, I'm in Florida, so it's
Oh, okay.
hot. It's about to get
I'm
cold in quotes to us, but it's warm.
okay. I'm a little jealous.
I'm sure. I miss the snow just a little bit though. So please just tell us who you are and what DryRun is.
Yeah. So I'm co-founder and CEO at DryRun, and DryRun is a cash flow management and scenario modeling tool. So we help business owners take a look at what's happening in the future of their finances, understand their cash flow, and look at what if scenarios so that they're making better decisions and planning for heading in the right direction.
Okay, and then I can kind of guess, but what's the meaning kind of behind the name DryRun? It's a fun name.
Yeah, well, it's like I come from business for a long time, and I learned I always say around 2008, 2009, I learned about cash flow when the recession hit,
Okay.
and what you start doing is basically taking your business on a dry run and figuring out
Mm-hmm.
before things get real, and you do it for real. You
Yes.
actually can make some plans and have an understanding of what's the right direction to take to get that best case scenario.
Okay, so the name kind of goes with like what you describe what your business does is try to get ahead of everything and any possible what ifs.
Exactly, absolutely.
Perfect. And how did you get into that? You obviously mentioned that it was just now, well, wow, 2008 seems like it wasn't that far. It was a long time ago, but as far as how did you get into cash flows and into what you're doing now?
Yeah, that was really from my experience in the recession. We had I had a creative agency at that time, and we had
Okay.
just expanded and hired new staff and leased some new cars and big new office that we were going
Mm-hmm.
to grow into. And all of a sudden, the doors come slamming shut on all of those budgets and all of our clients' budgets, and we went into survival mode. And during that survival mode, which was a little bit of like what businesses are going through right now, although right now is worse, I will fully admit that. We had to figure out how we're going to survive, and what I found is that once I understood the data, once I understood the options, I understood what our cash flow looked like, what our sales pipeline looked like,
Mm-hmm.
I could start making a lot better decisions. And we even though we had to transition from like 70% of our customers were government contracts, we had to completely transition from that. We still had our biggest year by 2011. We
Oh,
bounced
wow.
back immediately, and we never really had much of a dip. And a lot of that was because I was making decisions not just by seat of pants, but actually looking at the data, understanding what the options are, and going, okay, I'm going to pick this option. It looks like our best bet, and it informed how we managed our business. It informed the contract side, and I'd negotiate payment terms every time at a much more involved rate than before, because I understood how important it was to make sure we kept that cash flowing. So completely revolutionized my business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sold that business in 2012 and started looking for the next challenge. And what it ended up being was DryRun.
Okay. And so you kind of apply what you teach others even to your own business.
Oh, absolutely. This
Yeah.
is from my direct experience. This is
Mm-hmm.
from me talking with at that, when I started DryRun, I talked with, probably 100 companies. And now we're talking with businesses and CPAs, CFOs every day. And
Mm-hmm.
we get more and more information. We learn more and more every day. It's just a really big tenet of our business, is to learn and try and pass on those learnings as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. And showing that this is applicable to any business. It's something that is a necessity.
Yes, absolutely.
And so then how do you create fresh opportunities to best serve your customers?
Well, the biggest thing we do is we want to learn from our customers. That's where we've made the
Mm,
biggest strides in our business, is a really thorough understanding of their problem. Not them telling us how to fix their problem, but a really good understanding of their problem. And then we sit down, and the closer we can draw that line across to a solution to the problem they've described. So not kind of solving their problem,
mhm.
but a direct line. Here's their main problem. Here's their top three. Here's their top four problems. Here's how we can solve them with what we do. That's where we've had those big steps forward in our sales process, in our messaging, and our marketing.
I'm sure it puts a lot of people at ease too, where it's like you said, a pinpoint thing. It's not something we're going to kind of solve it. We kind of know what's wrong. We can really with data see exactly what the problem is and then how to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I'll tell you, it's easy to be dismissive because we talk about our customers' problems all the time, and we kind of talked about our offer all the time, and it kind of lined up, but we never really took a close look until one day we actually sat down and as simple as we listed on a sheet of paper the problems, our core customer problems, and then our answer on the other side. And then we said, let's redo that with our customers' core problems and complete blue sky. How could we solve them? And we realized we didn't have them totally matched up. We kind of thought we did, but we didn't have the discipline to realize we were just off a few degrees. And as soon as we corrected that and took a really close look on what we were offering compared to what their problems were, that's when things really started to open up for us.
Like you said, that pinpoint, those few degrees makes a big difference.
A massive difference. It's they always talk about that tipping point. We felt that where you're so close and you can't quite figure out why. There's a little bit of friction, and it's a small change, and suddenly it just topples over the other side.
Yeah. And so then how do you leverage flexibility to think outside of the box? Because it can seem like a rigid industry as far as cash flows, but obviously you said, I mean, it can be a few degrees.
Well, for us, we deal with business owners, and business owners are, it isn't so concrete. Like it's there, I'm an entrepreneur. I know what it's like. Everyone says I'm like a squirrel at times, or a butterfly floating around over here doing this and that. And so we try and look at a really holistic view and trying to figure out, how do we help them move their business forward? How do we help our CPA partners talk to their customers and figure out what their customers are struggling with, and helping them help their customers? And it's a really big understanding of what fundamental problems the business owners are facing and how to solve them. And there's oftentimes you can identify a problem. There's a lot of innovative solutions to figure out, how do I generate more sales? How do I generate more revenue? How do I finance my business when the bank doesn't want to give me money? But once you know what those issues are, you can start talking with your CPA. You can start talking with colleagues and advisors and figure out some of those issues.
And so, of course, a lot of business owners would already have some of the basic knowledge when it comes to cash flows and everything. But would you say there's still, the education portion as far as in this detail?
It's a lot trickier for business owners than you would think. I actually wrote a book on it. I wrote a book, actually, got a copy right here, Pandemic Cash Flow. And it came out in 2018. It has nothing to do with the pandemic now.
We're predicting the future.
Yeah, it's a weird prediction. Although it is really timely right now. But I wrote that book because as I talked with business owners, they understand at a gut level cash flow. They sometimes haven't really stopped to think about the mechanics and how they can actually manage it. They kind of get carried along with it. And it's a bit of a wish and hope to have cash indoor. There are things that you can do. There are mechanics to help you manage it. But the issue is that most business owners like myself didn't come from a finance background. We came from a domain expertise area. Exactly. And you go in and then you start going, okay, now I've got to learn this stuff. And, cash flow, there's millions of articles on the web, because I know I went through so many articles trying to figure out, what are business owners supported with? What do they have to work with? And generally you get, articles that say, cash flow is super important. It'll kill off a third of businesses. Get started with a spreadsheet, and that's it. There's no direction on even how to build the spreadsheet, or you might have a rough template that has nothing to do with your business. Or it's really tricky to figure out how to make it work. And so I just realized, okay, there's some fundamental mechanics that business owners need to understand in order to really be able to manage their cash flow properly, and also talk with their CPAs and be able to understand them and come up with answers for their problems.
And so almost like being able to shift business owners from reacting to the cash flows, like you said, kind of just getting strung along with it, to a proactive approach.
Absolutely. I use an example all the time of it's like stepping off a curb in front of a bus. If you step off a curb and the bus is right there, you can get run over.
Yes.
But if you step off a curb and you look down the street, the bus is 3 blocks away.
Okay.
We got all kinds of options. And so that's what cash flow management often does, is it gives you information, but it buys you time. And the more time you have, the better shape you are. The bank never wants to hear you go in and say, I'm out of cash and can't make payroll this Friday. But if you go in and have a plan and say, looks like I might have a shortfall 6 weeks out, here's how we're going to get through it. Yeah, the bank's going to sit down and listen to you, or more likely to.
Like you said, now we have a lot more options, and I'm sure having the wrong information about cash flows can feel like you get hit by a bus. So,
Exactly, and we hear that too often. We have people sign my director of client success. She always mentions when she'll see someone created an account Sunday night at 3 a.m. and they're
mm,
they're stressed, they're awake, and they're trying to figure this out. And
hmm,
it's stressful even from our side, because all we see is a time and a location, and we know someone created an account or logged in at a
they're
really,
stressed. Hmm.
they're stressed.
Hmm.
It's a lot of stress on them. So
And so, then what would you say makes up your secret sauce that sets you apart from the rest of the industry?
the big thing that we do, and because we came from a business owner perspective when we built
Okay.
DryRun. So we mix a lot of automation. We try and do a lot of heavy lifting, save you a bunch of time. But what we do better than anybody else is this unprecedented level of flexibility, almost the type of flexibility you would get in a spreadsheet, so
Mm,
that you can model things out. Because whatever happens, and you have all of this, your accounting data can come in and it can say, man, you're going to be loaded. Look at all these invoices you have out there. But as the business owner, those guys aren't going to pay for another 40 days. Those guys are always late, and these guys went out of business. I don't even think I'm going to get paid.
mm,
And you have to be able to model that out and make those adjustments. And so that's what we do really well. We allow you to make different scenarios. We allow you to model out what we always call reality. So you can compare to what it should look like,
hmm.
but you can always look at what does it actually look like. And you can start to go, what's best case, worst case, likely case, whatever that is.
Right. So you're really giving business owners more confidence, of course, financially. Do you think that also kind of can even pour into the employees, feeling like, okay, my boss is secure, so that kind of makes me feel more secure as their employee?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we have, a number of our clients will have, we deal with their finance department, and there's a lot of people all
Mm,
involved in moving the business forward. But that's one of the things that DryRun does really well, as well as it helps you communicate to the management levels, communicate down to the staff, communicate with
mm,
your investors or with your CPAs. It helps everyone get on the same page, and that's also a much more sort of comforting feeling as well.
hmm. For everyone to be on the same page, because I know I would need different language than someone who's in finance in order to understand.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so with a crazy year, of course, like 2020, where do you see your business going in the next few years, and how do you plan to make that happen?
Well, we're growing now, and we expect to
Good.
continue to grow.
Hmm.
Our goal, of course, is to help as many businesses as we possibly can, and we do a lot of that through our CPA partners. So we know, especially right now during COVID, there's even more stress on business owners. They're understaffed. They don't have a lot of revenue. They're really tight on cash flow.
Hmm.
What we're doing is helping CPAs help their clients and say, okay, I'm going to reach out, show them where they're at, and help them get through this. And when we all come through the other side, then we'll carry on and start looking at how we grow the
Hmm.
business. And so, cash flow is top of everyone's mind, but it's a real struggle out there for businesses right now. So that's what we're all about, is growing our business to help more and more business owners kind of make it through this recession. And the biggest thing is, as we come out the other side, helping them grow, helping
Hmm.
them get to build in processes. So they have a really good idea moving forward where they're at, and they're no longer kind of working in the dark.
Hmm. And so obviously as the negative impact, of course, of this year, would you say though opened up a lot of business owners their eyes to see of how important it is to work with a company like you as far as understanding cash flow for times like this?
Oh, absolutely. And the tragic thing that we hear is, we know there's a lot of business owners, they're literally just trying to get a dollar in tomorrow. They're just
Hmm.
trying to make it to the end of the week.
Hmm.
But we also know that with different support programs and loan programs, and it still helps to know what does that next 4 to 6 weeks look like as well. So we'll help them with this week, we'll help them with tomorrow, but also look out a little bit further. And as some of these businesses get their footing under them, they can start looking longer and going, what's 21 have in store for us? What is 22, 23?
Hmm.
How are we going to build? Um, and then there's some businesses that are clients that are actually knocking it out of the park. It is such
Okay.
a strange time. Vast majority are struggling mightily, and there's a sliver on the top that are growing so fast. But
Mm.
growing fast takes capital, and
Mhm.
fast growth can be really dangerous for a company, and really nerve-wracking as well. So there are even some of those companies that are using us to try and figure out, how do I grow? How do I grow sustainably? How do I make sure I'm not taking on too much risk by expanding too fast, but I want to support more of my customers. So we see a
Mhm.
little bit of that as well.
Yeah, so this is all incredible information, like you say, that's just is necessary for any business owner. I'm sure personally as well too. So you can be found at dryrun.com. Are there any other platforms or any place else to go for more information?
Well, you can definitely look me up on LinkedIn. Happy to connect and chat with you. Dryrun.com is absolutely the best place to find us. And of course, we're on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, Vimeo channel, Twitter
Yeah.
handle, all of those things. But LinkedIn is a great place to find us, and as well as our website.
Wonderful. Blaine Bertsch, thank you so much for today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was a really great chat.